You want to start this by washing your hair and not applying any conditioner and just really teasing the crap out of it. And then without any makeup or washing my face or anything like that, all I did was take a little bit of astringent, or you could use a little bit of a rubbing alcohol, just to get any excess oils off your face. And then I am removing all of my jewelry, including my earrings and any piercings that I have, and taking a black gel liner on a flat brush and just roughly applying this over the eyes. I am going to be blending this out, so it really doesn't matter if it's too neat. You want to cover most of the eyelid and then use your finger to softly blur out the edge. Then taking the same gel liner, I run it underneath my lower lash line and into my waterline and also my tight line, essentially just making sure that everything all around the eye is completely black. I lift my eyelids and there you see me applying to my tight line. You want to be really messy with this. In fact, the more messy and organic it looks is the more crazy it looks, and that's what we're going for. I take a black eyeshadow and basically just go over very messily into those areas that I applied the black base before. Once again, being really messy with it and not being too precise is going to really help this look that we're going for. I move on to the other eye, and then at the end I smudge a little bit on the edge of each eye. Next, I take a red eyeshadow and just use this to press a little bit into my waterline to set that black cream liner. This gives the illusion that my eyes are red and irritated, and so I also take a little bit of this on a blending brush and randomly rub it around the eyes, just again to further emphasize that irritated look. Take a blue eyeshadow and use this in areas to create depth. So like underneath the eyes, I use it to create the illusion of having bags, and then I use it in different parts of the eye, so like the inner corner, to create a little bit of depth and a little bit of hollowness. Going back in using the red eyeshadow, I just take it and stick a little bit, yes, up my nose and around the edges of my nose, and then take a little bit of that black eyeshadow on my fingers and basically proceed to dirty up my face. If I've been living in an asylum and I've been kept in a dark hole, I would not be the cleanest person. Taking a very fine liner brush, I am also taking a red cream paint, or this is a red cream foundation, and I'm essentially using it to create little veins coming out from the eyes. These are designed to look like little broken capillaries. You want to first just draw them on and then use your fingers and go over them to pat them down, because we want the illusion that they are under the skin and not necessarily on top, so they should look a little bit transparent. And then once I'm finished with the red, I go in with a little bit of the same blue shadow and outline a few of these reds just to give a little bit of dimension in the veins. Next, using the same black liner, I create little streaks coming down the eyes as though they're smudged and I've been crying. And then I use my fingers again to soften out the streaks that I've made, just so that they look a little bit more organic and realistic. I then take my prosthetic and line it up with my face just to see the area of my mouth that needs to be colored in. We want the area underneath the prosthetic to be completely black so that it looks as though that is the cavity of the mouth when the teeth are on. I take a black lipstick and color in the entire area. Again, this doesn't have to be too neat because it's not really going to be seen. And then once I'm done with the lipstick, I go over with the black eyeshadow and generously set that lipstick so that it does not smudge. If I'm in an asylum, I don't think I would have the opportunity to have very neatly groomed brows. So I take whatever left over black eyeliner on that brush and I just dab it on the eyebrows just to give it a very unkempt, dirty, overgrown look. Before taking my brow mascara and combing the hairs in the opposite direction so they stand up on their ends and look very haphazard and very overgrown. Just adding a little bit of blue eyeshadow, as I said before, to the red veins just to give a little bit of dimension. The prosthetic that I made, I do have a tutorial. All you have to do is click the prosthetic right here in this picture and you'll see it. Next, taking spirit gum, which is an adhesive for prosthetics, I apply it to the back of the prosthetic, and in order to activate spirit gum, you do have to tap it until it becomes tacky. Once it becomes tacky, I then fit it to my face and securely press it in place. You do have a little bit of wiggle room with this once it's adhered, just to move it around, and you want to really make sure that the edges are really blended into the skin. This is why it's important to make sure that the edges of your prosthetic, when you make it, are very thin so that it's easier to blend into the skin using makeup. Once I have it firmly in place, I then take a little bit of liquid latex on a regular sponge and start stippling around the edges of the prosthetic. This again will help me to better blend the prosthetic into my skin, creating a seamless transition. I layer on the latex a couple of times, at least 5, just to be sure that it's secure, and between each layer I make sure that the latex is completely dried before attempting to apply another layer. While my latex is drying, I take a fluffy brush, mix a black and grey eyeshadow together, and proceed to contour my face very sharply and very harshly. The idea is to create a very emaciated, shrunken look, so that we look a little bit skeletal and a little bit thinner than we actually are. Once I'm sure the text is dried, I go in using a concealer that matches my skin tone. I prefer using a concealer as opposed to a foundation because it's a thicker coverage. Once I apply the concealer, I then go in using a brush to blend in the concealer onto the prosthetic and my skin seamlessly. Once done, I go in using 2 different types of blood. One is a liquid blood and the other one is a gel blood, which sticks a little bit better. If you don't have fake blood, you can simply use red food coloring and corn syrup and mix it together and it creates a very usable blood. And then I take a brush that I do not mind ruining and I start stippling the gel blood, which is a thicker blood, around the edges of the mouth. This is supposed to look, again, very organic, not neat and very messy. I also stipple a little bit around the edges of my nose. I sprinkle some of that in my eyebrows a little bit later on, and basically just dot and dirty up my face. And apply contact lenses, which are whiteout lenses, but this is completely optional if you are not comfortable with them. This is basically the finished look. All I'm doing is just adding a little bit more of that blood by splattering it here and there, and then the last thing that I do is use a little bit of liquid blood and have it falling out of my mouth. I then applied my other props, which are my straight jacket and my mask, and I have included a link at the end of the video where you can see how to make those yourself. Thanks for watching, guys. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and remember to share with your friends.